Welcome to the Average Australian Podcast.
Oh, what a fabulous volley from Tim Cahill! You will not see a better goal than that at the World Cup this season.
Oh,
Big
great
save.
save again by
It's a
Swanson!
huge save.
Cahill! Tim Cahill has done it again!
Might drop for Fornaroli! Oh, that is simply brilliant!
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Average Australian Football Podcast. This is episode 24. Eden and I are back this week to discuss everything A-League. We'll talk about the Socceroos a little bit. There's English Premier League to talk about, Champions League draw, there's the FA Cup, and, of course, the two Socceroos games. So to discuss all of that and much, much more, I am joined once again by Eden. Eden, welcome back. How's it going?
Hello, how are you?
Oh yeah, not bad. It's been an interesting week, both domestically and, of course, in the English Premier League, Arsenal and all the Arsene Wenger dramas continuing.
That's right, we'll get to that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about, let's start with this. I got a question for you. Who do you think are the form A-League teams right now going into the finals? For me, I think it's like... Honestly, I'll put City and Wanderers right up there at the moment.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I think there's always question marks around City.
And Wanderers.
and Wanderers for that matter. And
ironically, they play each other this week.
That's right. And look, probably up until this last week, I would have said Glory as well.
Yeah.
But they've kind of gone off the boil. Look, I still think you can't go past Sydney. I mean, they have been a little bit flat in the last couple of weeks, but there's been extenuating circumstances, whether that's been the quality of the pitch or maybe just some of the opposition that they've come up against and the fact that they've kind of all but wrapped it up. So I think you can't go past them. Victory as well. They too have been maybe a little bit flat in the last couple of weeks, but again, they've pretty much got that second spot locked up. They're going to be missing a few players now with Rojas and Troisi and Berisha gone as well. So I think you can't go past those two sides. City, they do look to be back at least a little bit. The signs are there. Wanderers, yet to be convinced at all about them, I think.
My problem with them is just their over-reliance on Santalab. I just don't see how they win a game if he's shut out of the game, if he's having an off night. They just don't seem to have a second option. Yeah,
pretty much. And, they've shown glimpses all season, but never really done much with it. So, I'm reluctant to get behind the Wanderers at all. I know a lot of people are probably keen to build the hype around them and City as well. But for me, nothing's really changed in the last few weeks as far as who the favourites are.
Yeah. Do you think the top six is secured? Do you see anyone falling out now?
No, I think it's all but locked up at this stage now, which is unfortunate for the Jets and the Phoenix.
Yeah.
But they've had their chances and they couldn't get it done. So, all those draws probably came in very handy for the Wanderers at the end there. A couple of wins has been enough to get them over the line. And the Jets and the Phoenix as well, a couple of sides where the momentum's just really fallen away in the last few weeks. So I think it's all but wrapped up now for the top six, really.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I guess, thankfully, so in some respects it has been sorted because, with internationals coming in the next 2 weeks, if they can have at least of an impact on the top six as possible, I guess then at least the teams that deserve to be there will end up there.
That's right.
As for the Socceroos, their game, I think they play tomorrow night, do they?
That's right. I think 10:30 p.m. Eastern, at least the coverage begins on Fox Sports there from Iran. That's going to be huge. We
talked about it quite a lot last week, so we're not going to massively preview the game, but what's your thoughts? Any different from last week? Are you confident about Iraq? I don't know if you saw the pitch, but it's a horrendous condition.
It's a horrendous pitch, and just kind of in the build up to the game, a couple of interesting bits of information. Yeah, one, you said the pitch. Two is the fact that the Iraqi supporters haven't really been turning out for Iraq in Iran. I think they've played a couple of games there previously and haven't had much of a turnout. So the atmosphere might be a bit flat. And three is that, people are talking about that there's a changing of the guard in Iraqi football at the moment. It seems to be quite a young squad.
Yeah.
A couple of their veterans, I think Yunus Mahmoud was kind of like the Iraqi legend.
The Iraqi Tim Cahill.
That's pretty much. And he's finally hung up the boots and he's not going to be there. And it seems to be a bit of a young squad at the moment as well. So that could go either way. You could see some of that youth really play their guts out, or you could see them maybe a little bit overwhelmed as well by the Socceroos. But for me, still, banana peel of a game, warning signs everywhere. And
yeah, I'm not confident at all, to be honest.
I'm not really. And yeah, this is dangerous. This is a dangerous game. We need to get at least a point out of this one. And I think there's a lot of pressure on everyone in this game. I've just got my fingers crossed, really, because yeah, there's warning signs everywhere on this one.
Yeah, huge game. We will of course review it extensively next week because the A-League, the English Premier League will be on break, so we can cover the internationals a bit more instead. Just going back to the A-League quickly, did you hear about the first meeting of the Australian Football Clubs Association? 97 clubs attended. They brought out like some bullet points about what they're trying to get put forward. I guess the big one for me is the second division. Not that it's going to include the relegation and promotion straight away, but it's going to set up a system where that can happen like in the future, which I think is great.
I think this is, again, it's huge news. And what's interesting is that it's almost like the FFA are kind of sitting on their hands. They're not doing much. And everybody else around them is kind of going, well, look, if you guys aren't going to do anything, we will.
They're getting FIFA backing too.
That's right. Well, yeah, and that's the thing. These second-tier clubs have the backing of FIFA. And, it's interesting, same thing with, the expansion. Again, FFA are like, oh no, it's too hard, it's not going to happen now, whatever. Well, the expansion clubs are like, oh, well, it doesn't matter, they're still going ahead with it. Like, you see the bids are coming out, the info is there for all these prospective new clubs. They're like going full steam ahead as if it's happening. So while the FFA are kind of sitting by and not getting things done, everybody else is like just pretty much ignoring them and doing their own thing anyway and pushing their agenda. And that's, I think, dangerous for the FFA. Like, they need to just step in and take control. Because it seems like they're getting steamrolled.
It undermines their position, right? Like, if they don't get involved in this, they get left behind. They're stubborn, out of not organised. And, I mean, this is going to happen. It's a matter of when. But the only concern I have is, like, from an expansion point of view, when you start bringing in a second division, is, like, I don't think financially any A-League club would survive. No, like, TV revenue, that sort of, like, financial security. Like, that's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's always a possibility, and obviously that's what the FFA are afraid of, but obviously it seems to be the case that some of these second-tier clubs believe they can do it. And don't forget, some of these second-tier clubs are ex-NSL clubs, and they still do have that... they've still got the grassroots and they've still got the community connections, and some of them do have money, especially you've got South Melbourne, you've got teams like Sydney Olympic and Sydney United, you've got teams like the Melbourne Knights as well. They still have their own systems and connections throughout Europe, and they do have a bit of money backing them and things like that. So they're obviously confident that they can get it done. So you got to give them the chance, and I think if they're willing to invest the money and get going, you've got to give them a go. The FFA want you to have all these millions of dollars and be ready to go. But what we've seen is that if the clubs aren't managed properly, that money gets squandered quickly. and all of a sudden the club is still in trouble. Whereas if the organisation of the club is right and they're set up properly from the get-go, then they'll build that momentum, and then the money will sort of start to come in as the crowds build and the culture of the side builds, and they get some following and things like that. So it's a catch-22, of when you let those teams get in, but they're pushing the agenda. They're ready to go, some of them. So I think you just got to say, sink or swim, and tell them to put their money where their mouth is and let them get going. But FFA is just overly cautious at this stage now, and everybody else is kind of forcing their hand.
I think what will happen is that there'll be a second division. It'll have, 15, 20 teams. It'll be competitive. It'll be on probably free-to-air television, but I don't think you'll see an actual promotion system potentially for 10 years. I think it will join the A-League in terms of its branding, in terms of its structure. But yeah, I'd be very surprised if you see current A-League teams getting relegated in the next at least 8 years, I'd say.
Well, and I think some of that's in the license of the A-League clubs, is that they do have some of those guarantees and clauses as well and things like that. So, if the Mariners were to get relegated, they've got certain things in their contract with the FFA, again, that guarantee them certain things, so maybe they can't get relegated. But like you said, it's really about just bringing up that second league, getting it competitive, getting the clubs playing, getting it under the A-League and letting them play out for a few years, and then slowly coming in with that relegation and promotion once those clubs have got a bit of a foothold and got themselves established. But you've got to start somewhere.
Yeah, it'll be interesting what a second division would do to the promotion of the actual A-League itself, though, right? Because if you have like a 15-team second division and you start cherry-picking teams out of that into an A-League to try to expand that itself, like that weakens the whole structure, right? So I think they've got to expand before a second division happens.
Well, but also, like you said, it could get some of those second division teams could become quite strong and kind of naturally put their hands up to move into the A-League. And that's where the question marks is for some of those clubs, is you look at a team like Wellington Phoenix or the Mariners and you compare them to maybe like a Sydney United or a Sydney Olympic or a South Melbourne, and you go, well, could these other teams step up? And so you'd see if you had those teams playing week in, week out in a second division, they could become like almost ready-made expansion teams. So that goes both ways as well. But, the one thing's for sure is things are happening, and the FFA are just like sitting on their hands, and things are just happening with or without them almost, it seems. So they need to just step in and kind of grab a hold of this if they want to even have any bit of a say in the agenda. Otherwise, they're going to start being dictated to. It's interesting just how much the tide is turning against them this year. It's just been incredible.
Yeah, it's promising, right? Because maybe 6 weeks ago we were talking about action needing to happen, and I think finally, maybe without the FFA, but things are starting to move, and maybe this doesn't translate into expansion. But if like a second division does happen, then it strengthens Australian football, gives more like youth a chance. Better chance to get on TV, to get scouted. So, it's all good things from the Australian clubs, right?
It's a revolution. It's crazy. It's like you just got the FFA just kind of cowering in their office there, and these guys are just like marching with pitchforks
like Game of Thrones.
To their office. Yeah, that's right. It's gonna burn. They're gonna things are just like it's crazy like what's happening at the moment. And yeah, the FFA just kind of look a bit lost, and they're just quivering in their boots. I think they need to do something. It's crazy. They're gonna get steamrolled. You're gonna, like you said, it's gonna be a massacre.
It is. It'll be interesting, I guess. Especially when the season's over, there will be nothing else to focus on, and I think they're gonna have a very busy few months. So let's kick on to round 23. There was only the 3 games. Melbourne City, Newcastle Jets. Pretty much a steamroll. I thought Newcastle would have a bit more fight, considering it was do or die for them with their top 6 chances. Melbourne City is probably the best they've looked for a long time. Dominant performance, deserved the 4 goals. I thought Bruce Kamau was great, and Fornaroli keeps scoring. I guess the question is, like, I still want to see Fornaroli score more from open play, because I think he is not at the level that he was at the start of the season. But I mean, it's all good signs for City, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the only question mark is that, like I said, they've scored 7 goals in their last 2 games, but it's been against Mariners and the Jets.
And there's been penalties and set pieces, yeah.
That's right, and so this is now the question for them is, they're coming up against Wanderers this week, and then I think Sydney FC next week. Let's see where they're at,
exactly,
because it does look promising at the moment. Like Cahill scored, Fornaroli scored, Bratton looked all right, Kamau looked all right. Like things are looking all right for them. Maybe they're on the up, but I think people would have every right to still question it. And question their performance. So I'm not 100% convinced, but things are looking better. But it might be just a little bit too little too late for them.
It just depends if it can translate into the finals, right? Because right now they'd play the Wanderers in a knockout.
Yeah.
So I mean, that would be an interesting game. Both teams have similar problems. So I mean, it'll be a tight game. I don't know if there's any point really talking about Newcastle. I think they've had impressive parts in the season. Naboo's obviously been great. I feel like Nordstrand and is it Hull? He's sort of they fell away. Those two especially needed to continue their good mid-season form, and they haven't. And Newcastle, I think, will be a much better side next season. They've already made some signings, so I mean, for them, probably disappointing, but positive next season, right?
I think so. They've shown glimpses, and obviously, like I said, they've probably already started planning for next season with some recruits and things like that. So they just need to keep building for next season now. It looks promising for them, but this season they're gone. I think that's it. They're done. So, yeah, like I said, no point talking about them. We can move on to the
mighty Adelaide, the mighty Adelaide. What's changed with them? To be fair, let's just go straight into the big controversy with the Michael Theo sending off. Do you have any problem with the red card? Because I think what the debate is from Brisbane fans is that Adelaide calls the foul first, right? He put his arms around him to slow down the play. Now, does that allow a goalkeeper to elbow him in the face?
No, it doesn't.
Should that be called before?
It should. and like you said, I mean, two wrongs don't make a right, I guess, if you want to put it that way. And whether you were provoked or not, you're striking someone, that's that. But also the new laws in FIFA now are you don't necessarily have to give a red card and a penalty.
No, you don't.
You can give a yellow card and a penalty.
Is that in Australia as well, or is that just worldwide? I know it's in England.
I think that's worldwide.
Okay.
My understanding that's because I think they've just tried to get away from that double whammy of the red card penalty. Yeah, that's right. You're down to 10 men and you cop a goal 9 times out of 10. It's just a bit harsh.
Are you sure FFA has signed that document that allows that to be happening?
Well, yeah, that's right. Maybe they didn't get the memo.
Maybe they didn't send the fax in.
That's right. But that's one. But geez, I just think, could it get any worse for the A-League? You got coaches or assistant coaches apparently or allegedly, should we say, just so we don't get in trouble, knocking each other out.
It was in the tunnel, right?
And then that's right. And then you just got, I mean, to be fair, the Aloisi brothers always look like they're just on the brink of about to knock someone out. They just have that face. But to have actually supposedly knocked someone out or punched someone or whatever, that's one. And then just the whole farcical end to the game as well. It's just embarrassing for the league. Once again, it's just farcical.
So you think the penalty was a wrong decision? Because I feel I have some sympathy for the referee, right? Because in that situation, it's 1-1. He probably realises Brisbane have to score for their top 4 chances. And you see Adelaide make the foul. He does see it, and he's like, well, if I let this go, Brisbane can, kick the ball and release it quicker. And then you see Michael Theo elbow him, and then at that point, you've got to call it.
That's right. And, and then, that's the other sort of template that people apply is they go, well, look, if this was anywhere else on the ground, would it be a free kick? Yep. Okay.
Well,
if it's
not in the
box,
90th minute, it would have definitely, the first, I think, would have been caught straight away.
Exactly. And we always call on refs to have the guts to sort of make those decisions to go, look, well, it doesn't matter what minute it was in and doesn't matter where on the ground it was and it doesn't matter what the context of the match is. A foul's a foul's a foul, so you got to call it if you see it. So, look, I don't have too many problems with the ref on this one. I just have more of a problem with just the rubbish quality of the game and just like how it just kind of slips into these things so often in the A-League where it just descends into chaos and violence. And you got badly behaved managers, you got badly behaved players, you got violence on the field.
This is the type of thing that ends up on 101 great goals. It's not like the quality of the goals in the A-League, it's the afters, like all the bad refereeing decisions. Like it does affect the global brand.
It does, yeah, and this is like one of those things that, like you see on like some world football show, and they're like, and now we cut to third division Brazil where the referee pulled out a pistol. And it's like, and it's coming, like the A-League's getting to that level now where they're like, let's cut to Australia. We're in the 99th
Two assistant coaches punch each other and knock each other out.
That's right.
We've got tunnel footage.
So this is like another thing where, something needs to be done. And like, we've just seen like badly behaved coaches all season, like just going nuts. Like, something's got to be done. And I'm with the refs on this one. Like, we've called out the bad refereeing all season, but we need to call out the players and the managers as well. Like, everybody just needs to tone it down a little bit. Like, show more respect for the game and for the referees and for each other.
But I think the media takes some responsibility for that, right? Because it's been so aggressive at the referees, at the teams, the players. They like their respect for the referees themselves probably get reduced because of that. Like, they see the intense pressure and they have in back of their mind thinking, well, this referee is going to make a mistake, right? So that respect is gone. But I do agree. I think there's been, 6 or 7 instances this season where the manager's actually been sent off the field, which I haven't seen that. Like, even in the English Premier League the last 10 years, like, it doesn't happen as often as we're seeing it in Australia.
That's right. It's really getting over the top, and I think it is hurting the brand, and it is damaging the reputation of the league, and just the whole league week in, week out seems to be just a bit too rough and violent this season. I don't know what's been happening, and I think, whether you have harsher penalties or whatever, but something needs to be done. It's just getting a bit embarrassing because no one even talks about the result anymore. The Brisbane Royal Adelaide game. Like, no one could even tell you what happened. Everyone just remembers that Aloisi punched the bloke. So that's the takeaway from that game. So it's just a bit sad, really.
What do you think the game actually means for Brisbane, right? Because Matt Mackay's out for 6 weeks with a knee injury. They've got Theo obviously suspended now. I think it's is it the one game? He's been red carded already this season.
I think he got two, maybe 3
I know he's been sent off this season already. So it should be more than one.
He got a few weeks, I think, at least, maybe a couple. He's out for a while. They're in a bit of trouble with the Raw because it's just gone downhill for them big time.
Above Perth Glory, who have difficult fixtures, mind you. We talked about that last week. Their run home is not easy. So, I mean, they may scrape fourth, but in terms of like going into the finals in the best possible way, Brisbane are so far away from that.
I think so, yeah. I mean, like, flashback to a few weeks ago when they played, I think, was it Shanghai and, with Tevez and stuff, and they knocked them out, and everyone thought, like, this is going to be a great time for the Raw.
That feels so long ago.
Since then, they haven't had much luck in the ACL, and it's just kind of really dropped away for them. Big time. So everything to play for them now. Like you said, Glory, City, Raw really battling it out for those sort of 3rd, 4th positions. All of a sudden, they could keep tumbling down because they just seem like a spent force at the moment.
What do you make of the Wanderers, right? Because they've obviously strung a few wins together. They've got their voodoo home ground victory out of the way. They're only 4 points behind Perth Glory. Perth Glory have a tough run. Wanderers is relatively easy. Not sure finishing 5th or 6th makes a huge difference. I can't see them getting above Brisbane. But what do you make of their performance? They obviously dominated Wellington. Disappointed by Wellington. I thought they were even worse than Newcastle Jets, which is strange because that was 4-0.
Yeah.
But just frustrating as a neutral to see, like, because like the top six, the race for the top six has been such a talking point because, you know, Sydney FC have done the title so easily, and to see it just like peter away, no real challenge, is kind of disappointing, as good as Wanderers were.
Yeah, look, I don't see the Wanderers doing much, even if they do, and they probably will make the finals now. I can't see much threat coming from them. Yeah, they knocked off Phoenix, but like you said, over-reliance on Santa Lab. A couple of their imports who have looked good all season in Junpei and Martinez still kind of, haven't done much all season really. And we've seen a couple of performances like this from the Wanderers, and you think, oh, are they back? But I think come finals time, you look at the other sides there and, the Wanderers have scored the least goals by far.
They're 27, I think, which is only ahead of the Mariners and Adelaide. So
that's right. Yeah, and yeah, that's right. And you look at the other sides there who are, I think, a lot more exciting and attacking going forward. And I think the Wanderers just kind of almost get in by default because the bottom four teams just haven't been up to scratch all season, and that kind of just gets Wanderers over the line. But I wouldn't be, if I was a Wanderers fan, I wouldn't be holding my breath for them to do anything in the finals.
Me neither. I think that's why I'd love to see another two teams, right? Because the top six, it does feel like it's just a participation award when there's only the 10 teams. Even if there was 12, at least that's half the league makes it, right? Instead of the 70% or whatever it is. Let's move on. We've talked about, we'll go into round 24. Obviously the 5 games this weekend, back to regular. It's the only 4 weeks left of the regular season. Wanderers v City is at Spotless Stadium, I think. Yeah. Do you see Wanderers winning back-to-back home games for the first time since, I don't know, the 70s?
Yeah, that's right. Well, look, I don't know. This is a good round, actually. I think there's a couple of interesting games here.
I think why it's so good is the Mariners and Adelaide sort of play that dead rubber. So you've got these really interesting games because, like, as we said, the top 6 is probably sorted, right? But Newcastle and Wellington will see this game as their last chance. Like, even inside there, like internally, they'll see this as their last chance.
That's right. And I think Mariners and Adelaide could still be exciting as well. But yeah, like you said, the other 3 games all have a lot riding on them still, even though the 6 probably is decided. And I want to see where Melbourne City are at in this one. Can they go to the Wanderers and actually do something, or are they just going to go back to their old ways again and just kind of fold? And likewise, can the Wanderers actually keep some sort of momentum going? I think this one's a tough one.
It'll be low scoring.
But yeah, I think so. And like you said, I'd like to see Fornaroli actually get a goal from open play and really kind of assert himself again. I'm calling a draw, just because I think both teams are in decent nick, without being brilliant, and the Wanderers probably hoodoo at home will continue. Yep. And I think that the City might just jag something here. I'm going to, like you said, low scoring draw for me.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be a low scoring game. I think Wanderers, it suits Wanderers more. Melbourne City have been known to leak goals, especially like the tight games. Wouldn't be surprised if Fornaroli gets another penalty and you could see them maybe sneak a win, but I expect it to be like a 1-1, really low scoring.
Yeah, no, look, I think almost half of his goals have been penalties this season. That's amazing. Like, I don't know if it's just that second season blues or whatever, but or just the fact that teams now know him and they're marking him and they're taking him out of games. It's probably a combination of factors, and the Cahill factor probably as well.
I think it's that. But, and the the Melbourne City team is just so unbalanced from an attacking point of view that it affects all of them.
Yeah, like you said, it just seemed to be, he was just unstoppable last season. Him and Moy up front, it was just the stuff of dreams, and it's just changed for him. I mean, you look at on paper, I think he's still got something like 15, 16 goals, but when you break it down, it's like 7 or 8
I was just going to say that, right? We talk about this, but like City are only like 3 goals behind Sydney FC for the season. So, I mean, like they do score, they do pump teams, but you still question their open play, their creativity.
That's right, and I think they just really miss Jakobsen still, and just some strength in that back line. they need him for the finals.
Yeah, he's a very important player. For the next game, Saturday, it's the afternoon kickoff. Central Coast Mariners to host Adelaide United. I actually think Adelaide United are going to win. I think their new players have looked pretty impressive. Obviously, it's a bit too late to really impact anything, but I expect them to cause some teams problems as they go for these finals. Perhaps rest players, and they could pick up maybe 6 or 7 points the rest of these 4 games.
Yeah, they could. They seem all right at the moment. Like you said, we kind of cast aspersions against some of the new recruits, but Baba Diawara's looked all right.
Yeah,
the Korean players look pretty decent as well, I think. They haven't been too bad, Adelaide, and like you said, it could be just like a late season charge here. I don't know if that's going to be enough to save Moore's position. From what I'm hearing, he's pretty much gone. Yeah. And that's probably a mutual decision,
I'm not sure
he
wants to stay, to be honest.
No, that's right. It's just kind of really gone bad for him this season. But a bit of a late season charge, and I think you're right. They'll probably knock off the Mariners here, and they'll probably be trying to drag themselves off the ladder as well.
Yeah, win here will do it. I think they'll probably win comfortably, to be honest, like a 2-0.
Yeah.
On to the next game, huge game. It's over at Brisbane Roar v Melbourne Victory. Really tough game. Brisbane Roar obviously missing Theo. They're missing McKay. They've got players at internationals. Victory, obviously, like you said before, have their own problems. I guess when you look at depth and squad, you'd probably trust Melbourne Victory. But then Brisbane Roar have been playing midweek games, so perhaps their squad's more used to it. You see Laparella, he can come in. So, I mean, this will be a tough game. I wouldn't write off Brisbane, even though you look at their form recently. I wouldn't surprise me if it's a draw.
Oh, look, I think this is their chance to get back into form. Melbourne Roar are going to be big-time depleted. They're going to be missing Troisi. Yeah. They're going to be missing Rojas.
The defender left as well to, where was it, Thailand?
Did he? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I think they're also going to be missing Berisha, who's gone to Europe to play World Cup qualifier for Kosovo. Yep. And I think they're also going to be missing one of their other attackers as well, who's gone to New Zealand as well, whose name escapes me at the moment. So, whoever he is, he's good.
He's a Kiwi.
So it's some Kiwi bloke. So they're thin at the moment as well. They're going to be pretty much almost like a second string side. So this is Raw's chance. I think Raw might, if they're good enough.
Is it
Ingham? Yeah, that's the one. Sorry. Yeah, apologies
to the Kiwis.
To that fine Kiwi international there. So no Ingham, no Rojas, no Berisha, no Troisi. Wow. Yeah. They're in a spot of bother. Victory. I don't think they'll be too concerned because they've probably got second spot locked up, but if the Raw are going to bounce back and get some wins on the board, this is their chance. It's going to be an interesting game, and going to be an interesting game with all this fallout of last week hanging over the Raw as well. I'd like to see Aloisi versus Muscat in a 12-round no holds barred.
We might have to put some boxing gloves in the change rooms. Let them work it out beforehand.
Bare knuckle for those two, I reckon. They would just rip their shirts off and go for it.
It's no McGregor Mayweather, you don't think?
Yeah, I think that could be a bloodbath. But yeah, I think that's going to be interesting as well to see how the Raw bounce back from that mentally. But I think this is theirs for the taking here, the Raw. They desperately need the 3 points.
Yeah, I've been talking down.
This is their chance.
I've been talking down Brisbane all podcast, but I do actually think they might sneak this. I expect a draw. I'll say a draw, but it'll be a very interesting game. Victory obviously missing a lot of key players. And, you talk about their motivation to win this game. I don't think it really matters if they lose it. So, I mean, you give Brisbane the slight edge at home, I think.
Yeah, yep, I'm with you.
We talked about this game already a little bit. Wellington, Newcastle, last chance saloon, if there ever was one. If Wellington win, they go to 26, 2 points behind the Wanderers, who play City, which is, within striking range, and then Newcastle would go to 25, a game behind the Wanderers. It is in Wellington. Newcastle have really struggled to score goals. Krishna, is he on internationals?
I'm not sure. That's a good point. And I don't know how affected they're going to be by internationals this time around.
I'm so out of touch with the Oceanic qualification these days.
That's right. I'm not sure what's happening there, and I don't know how much of their squad is affected this time around. But I wouldn't be surprised if Phoenix get over the line anyway, just because that would be what the Phoenix would do. Is now that they're almost like out of contention, they'll smash the Jets and all of a sudden look like $1 million side. And like you said, I think the Jets they're pretty much done for the season. I think so. And to go to New Zealand now. With 4 games to go, I just think it's too hard of an ask. Even if they're playing like a second string Phoenix side, I think it's all over for them. It might just be a little bit too hard, and all 3 points for the Phoenix. I think
Jets have mentally checked out for the season. I think Phoenix will win. It'll be a low scoring game because it depends like how many players Wellington have gone. But you think at Wellington enough of a home advantage to sneak over the line. This is my game of the round, maybe a bit biased. Perth Glory versus Sydney. You've got rumours about Diego Castro leaving Glory for Sydney FC. I don't know if that's a little bit of midweek banter to try to disrupt the Glory. They seem to disrupt themselves well enough. They did sign the, is it Romanian? Lucian Goan. Has a pretty good background in Asia, so I mean he should slot right in for the injuries they have in centre back. What do you think of this game? Like, it's difficult to call Perth Glory right now, right? Because defensively they're a shambles. You've seen, to me anyway, Taggart and Keogh have dropped a little bit. They're not scoring. They're not relieving pressure of Diego Castro. Sydney have enough talent in their squad to really focus on Diego Castro. So I think one of Taggart and Keogh have to stand up. If they don't score one of them, I think they'll lose. Sydney FC obviously won the title, going for the record. So what do you think of this game? It is in Perth. Always been difficult to beat in Perth.
Look, I'm with you. I think this is game of the round for sure. Look, up until last week, the Glory were probably the form side of the comp almost. And that was probably the last question mark over them was, can they go on the road and knock off a team? And they weren't terrible against the victory.
No, they weren't.
I don't think the scoreline reflects the game 100%.
It highlights their problems. It didn't reflect their performance, I think.
That's right. I think it just exposed a couple of the issues that they've got long term, and that's, it's all about Castro going forward, and obviously the leaking of goals.
Well, you look at their injury list, right? They've got like 3 centre backs out. They've been out for the last, I'd say, 2 months. I think they're all coming back soon, like Lowry and that. But I think you'll see a different Perth Glory in the finals. But I think to see a Perth Glory go deep in the finals, they need that home final. And they've got to beat Sydney, especially in the home games. They've got to win.
That's right, and this is the litmus test for them now. Like I said, Ryan Williams will be out as well, so that's a big one. Look, I just think it comes back down to Castro almost for them again, and I think he'll be a different prospect at home. This is it for them. If they can knock off a Sydney, then watch out, and I think they can. They can do damage if they're at home, and that's why I think it all comes down to these last few weeks for them is they need to get a home final. If they can, I think that's almost like an automatic win for them in the finals in that first week, and then who knows? So I back them to at least get a draw in this one. They've shown that as many goals as they can cop, they can score them themselves. They can come back. Sydney are too hard to beat, I think, even on the road. But I think Glory will show their resilience on this one. And I think they'll get a point at least.
Yeah, it just depends, like the defence, right? Like if this new signing can come in and be consistent, be a rock back there, because like that's their problem. The centre backs, they've got literally like 4 of them out. So I mean, I don't know who he's going to partner. Like I literally have no idea.
Yeah, and look, and it's just weird that you look at their defensive personnel on paper when they're fully fit, and they've got a strong backline.
They do, yeah.
But it just seems like whoever's gone in there has just had a lobotomy. Like, the minute they come in, they just like go stupid, and so I don't think it even matters almost who. So maybe this guy coming in from the outside might be the rock that they need up the back there, and who knows, this could be like the signing of the season almost, that he just comes in and straightens up the ship at the back there.
Do you have any problem with like clubs being able to sign people at this point of the season?
look, I think if that player is out of contract and isn't signed anywhere else, then you can sign players at any time. And I think the same it would have happened in England or anywhere else, in the sense that it's not a transfer window signing. You've just kind of I think you're allowed to sign a player.
No, but like even there is the free transfers, but even that has like a window period in England.
But what if he's not even a transfer at all, in the sense that he's just a bloke off the street where you want to play for us?
No,
I
think there's still windows for it. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, look, I'm not sure about that, but, A-League does have those provisions on that you can sign injury replacements and things like that.
I think keeper's the only one where you can do an emergency signing.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, that's another thing that, the A-League's got, I guess, in that quirk that you can sign injury replacements and things like that. And it used to be back in the day, I think they've at least closed the loophole that your injury replacement has to be within the cap.
Okay.
I think before it could be outside of the cap, so they
Messi for the last 4
Yeah, that's
games.
right. Yeah. Pretty much, it was like you'd get some like 18-year-old defender would break his leg out for the season. They're like, all right, cool. Now we've signed Del Piero. We've signed. They just signed a marquee player for the rest of the season as an injury replacement. It's like another exemption from the salary cap. So I think that loophole's been closed. Look, it is a bit weird that a guy comes in for the last 4 weeks, pretty much.
I saw another free contract. Just spoke about this week that I completely forgot about. Danny De Silva.
Yeah, what's happened?
He doesn't have a club.
Right.
Yeah, he was in, I think he went to Roma, obviously that didn't work out, and then he went to Thailand, and they just cut him, and he's got no club, and he hasn't played for 6 months or so, and maybe he's already agreed to play for Perth Glory next season. Maybe he can't actually play, like, contractually.
Possibly.
Yeah, so...
I'd like to see him back.
Yeah, but I don't know what's happened to him. Just gone.
Well, that's interesting news. I haven't actually heard anything about that. I mean, he had the world at his feet when Roma pretty much signed him and then loaned him out, and the Glory, I think, got a pretty good fee for him as well. And sad to hear if that is the case, but maybe that's an opportunity for the Glory. Yeah, and in hindsight, maybe he should have stayed a bit longer. So that's an interesting one.
One of many.
Yeah, absolutely. But back to the game, I think we might be seeing a draw here.
Yeah, I think so.
Kenny Lowe might be doing a bit of dancing from the sidelines on this one. I think there'll be at least a couple of goals for the Glory.
As long as he doesn't get himself sent off, I'll be okay with a draw, to be honest.
Yeah, that's right.
I think we'll leave it there for the A-League, and unless there's anything else.
No, I think we can move on.
Yeah, let's move on to the English Premier League. There is no games for the next 2 weeks because of internationals, so there's only the games from last week. I guess we start with the Arsenal shambolic 3-1 defeat against West Brom. I don't know. Like, it's just so predictable, and it looks like Arsene Wenger's going to sign a new contract. So let's just take these next 2 minutes and just replay them every episode from this point forward, and we'll save ourselves some time, I think.
Yeah, I mean, look, it is almost become
a parody.
A parody, but it's almost the talking point of the Premier League every week now.
Yeah.
Like what's happening with Sanchez, what's happening with Messi.
What do you think of the planes with the banners?
Yeah, I don't like that stuff. I think and it's almost become like a cliche now. It's like, they better do a flyover. Yeah. We're disgruntled with the manager. Who's got a private jet? We can do
like World War I up there, like competing banners and.
That's right. Yeah. Look, I think that's getting a bit ridiculous. But the protests are building. Wenger just needs to come out. I know he said, like, I know what I'm going to do and I've made my decision, and other people are coming out in the media like, I know what he's going to do. He told me. But it was just like, someone needs to say something and confirm it, because it's dragging on. But the performances are just disappointing. And this might be the year that they don't make the top 4.
Definitely won't.
And if that happens, then another 2 years of Wenger is going to be pretty hard to stomach, I think, for a lot of people. So
it'll get worse, I think. Yeah, it'll be because Arsenal fans, Londoners, they're typically pretty passive. Not too vocal, but I think if you spend 2 more years in this sort of environment, I think it's going to get very, very aggressive.
Yeah, especially like with the way that other clubs are strengthening.
Yeah, exactly.
And look, if they lose a player like a Sanchez, or
They
even a
definitely will.
Mesut
Both will go.
Ozil,
Yeah, I think.
both are gone.
I think so. Yeah, and I think Ox will go as well. To be honest.
Yeah, right.
So it's a big play now. Yeah.
What about Lukaku to Arsenal then?
He would
Is
cost.
that a possibility?
I don't think so. Like, why would he leave Everton for Arsenal if Arsenal don't make the Champions League? It makes no sense to me.
Oh, because Everton aren't paying him enough, and
Yeah, but he wants Champions League. He wants like to have his name in the papers, and I don't think he really cares about the money more than the actual like the team that he's in.
Yeah, and look, and that's what's interesting is that like you said, I mean, if Arsenal don't make the four, and don't make the Champions League for what will probably be like the first time under Wenger,
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Then what's going to happen? Like you said, now they almost go into danger of becoming like that Liverpool.
I think they do become a Liverpool. The only concern is that Liverpool have a board that are willing to sack managers, where Arsenal don't. So I think like this problem becomes systemic, and it doesn't change for like 4 or 5 years. Like Arsene Wenger will stay until he's dead if he had his way. Like I really do think. Like I don't know how much you know about him personally, but he has nothing outside of football. His like wife left him. So, I mean, this is all he's got, and,
well, I got nowhere else to go.
I don't know if you ever see, like, really successful old people, they, when they, like, retire, they're, like, aged, like, 10 years in a week. Like,
they're lost.
Their passion goes, and they just age. So, I mean, Arsene Wenger could be a prune as soon as he retires in a week.
Look, I would just move him into the director of football role.
Give him a mop.
Cast him
Go
in
clean
stone
up all the shit
you
gave us for 8 years.
Just cast him in stone, put him as a statue up
Real
front.
life statue, like the House of Wax.
Yeah, that's right. No, look, I mean, in all seriousness, put him in a football director role, and like you said, I mean, you don't want to lose him at Arsenal because he pretty much runs the club.
But look at the shadow he would create for any new manager.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where, he need to just sort of hand over the reins and go, yeah, look, I'm going to assist with transfers, and I guess that just that direction of football in the sense that will be, this is the Arsenal way or whatever, but you got to let that new manager come in, and there's this new manager that everybody's talking about in the Bundesliga, is it? The new Mourinho or whatever, yeah, that's right. He's someone that looks like a prospect for an Arsenal.
I'd rather Allegri from Juventus, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think we'll be talking about this for a few more weeks to come.
Definitely.
But either way, disappointing result for Arsenal, and they're in a bit of trouble now.
Especially with results the other way, right? Spurs impressive against Southampton. Kane was out too, which makes it even more impressive. United perhaps lucky to beat Middlesbrough, but in 3 points. I guess the big game, City, Liverpool. Liverpool had a huge chance. I think it was Lallana. I think he had the massive opportunity and missed. Firmino was actually celebrating beforehand. I don't know if you saw that, but it was pretty funny.
That was it. Yeah, so the results have gone against them. The FA Cup fixtures coming up now.
We'll talk about that a bit later, because it's I think it's was it the 4th of April or something? I think those games are.
I think so, yeah. So like we'll preview that one, but obviously I think it's Mourinho versus Wenger again. Is it?
Arsenal play City.
Arsenal play City.
Pep,
sorry, right? Yeah. So that's probably going to go against Arsenal as well, and. Yeah, we'll see you back here next week for some
more Arsene Wenger
grumblings.
updates.
I think, I think.
What do you think of the Champions League draw? I think that's really the last thing we'll talk about this week. Leicester got Atletico Madrid, huge game for them. Like I can't believe they're 8. Just give me your quick predictions for the 4 games. I don't know if you got the fixtures up in front of you, but give me your predictions for the games. Yeah,
I mean, look, the 2 ripper ones that are really Bayern, Real, and Juventus, Barcelona. They're going to be crackers, both of them. I'd probably give the nod to Madrid against Bayern. I think.
Yeah, I think Madrid will win too. Yep.
Just for the Ronaldo factor and that, but Barcelona Juve is going to be a big one.
I think Juventus will win personally.
Look, I mean, and you said that about PSG as well. I don't write off Barcelona, but like you said, I mean, can they do it again? I think Juventus look the better side. But the 2 sort of unknown ones are the Dortmund, Monaco, and Atletico, Leicester.
I think Monaco will win, to be honest.
Yeah, and look, I wouldn't put past Leicester either. They're on a roll, and I think the sacking of Ranieri is much talk as there was about it at the time, and all this sort of the tears for Ranieri and all this sort of stuff. As far as they're concerned, I think it's worked out well for them. It was the sacking they needed to make.
The harsh reality
they seem to be playing much better.
Harsh reality is that when the players stop playing for the manager, it's cheaper to get rid of the manager. It's more time consuming to try to rebuild the team.
Oh, yeah. You're not going to sack the squad.
I mean, Arsene Wenger does. He signs new teams every couple of years.
That's right. Okay, yeah. So for everyone else, you sack the manager.
Yeah, so it's a sad story, but I mean, they won the Champions League. The Premier League last season. His name will forever be linked with the club. So, I mean, for whatever happened this season, they're in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. So, I mean, the fans, the team should be happy.
Oh, I think they are. And that's what I think is almost like, sadly, Ranieri's been forgotten about because they've just moved on and they're doing well. They're doing well in the league and in the Champions League. And I'll back them almost to keep the fairy tale run going here.
Against Atletico.
Yeah, Atletico
Fernando Torres.
Yeah, but...
Is he back from his concussion? Do you remember that? That was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, but what about your Jamie Vardy?
Jamie Vardy party.
Yeah, look, I just think they've still, in the Champions League, they've still got that X factor.
Yeah. I think they'll do well at home, but they'll struggle in Spain.
And look, there's every chance that this could be the one that sort of brings reality to them in the sense that, they could get pumped
like
big time.
Tidal wave.
That's right. But at home, they are a chance.
Yeah.
And I just think they still have the X factor about them against the European sides.
It's like Monaco. No one knows what they're doing. So they're such an unpredictable thing to play against. That's
right. Yeah, so I'd give them a chance, but I think that one's tough. Dortmund, Monaco as well, that's a tough one. The other two are going to be crackers, and it's
fantastic draw.
I think so.
Yeah, really looking forward to it.
Interesting that, who would have picked that Leicester would be the English side in the A?
I know, right?
That's amazing. And potentially it could have been Monaco and PSG as well had the Barcelona miracle not happened.
The interesting thing is, I don't know how close it is, but if Leicester didn't make the quarterfinals, I'm curious how close Italy would be to overtaking England for that 4 spots in the CL. Like, Leicester may have saved like a lot of English clubs.
Yeah, I mean, and that's
like the coefficient, the rankings.
Well, yeah, and look, that's the interesting thing is everyone talks about the strength of the Premier League, but the drought in Europe continues.
It does,
And you look at Juventus, I mean, Serie A has fallen away, I think.
Yeah. Because the Milan teams have just dropped off the face of the earth, yeah.
That's right, but Juventus have just had a massive resurgence, and they're back to being one of the top European sides again. And obviously you look at the dominance of Spain and the two sort of big German clubs as well.
Two big impressive things about Juventus and like Dortmund is they can seem to sell their superstars like Pogba, and they just they keep going.
That's right.
It doesn't seem to matter who they have, their culture, their style of play continues, and they birth these like superstars. It's just incredible, really.
Well, and it's just shown that, that money isn't everything in the sense that some of the Premier League clubs just get
scouted.
Yeah, that's right. And they just, they spend the big bucks, and you've seen it in China as well, that the teams are spending so much money, but it's not reaping the benefits. And like you said, Juventus, they do tick over players, and there's just something about them as a club that when players come there, they play.
They certainly do.
And they play for the club and the shirt. So I think there's going to be a cracking quarterfinals, put it that way.
Should be fantastic. We'll, of course, talk about that more as it gets a little bit closer. But until then, thank you for joining me once again, Eden.
Thank you.
And we will be back this time next week. You can find, obviously, the podcast on YouTube, SoundCloud, Patreon, iTunes, and pretty much everywhere else you can expect to find a podcast. So
that's right.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll both be back this time next week. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye.